Is this 32? This is A Few Good Fights, episode 32. I'm your host, Robert Palin. I'm joined by Sean Taylor, as always.
Wagwan.
What? What was that?
Wagwan.
What's that mean?
It's how people, like cool people in London, say hello.
Alright, cool.
Yeah. Wagwan, folks.
It doesn't sound very cool. If there's any Londoners, let me know if you say that. I think Sean's fucking with me. This week we're talking about Ben Askren. He retired from MMA. We're going to talk about his legacy, talk about how he done in the UFC. Was it a huge failure? Was there anything that we liked? We'll talk about that. Nick Diaz was in the news as well. We discussed him last week. We're going to get back into that a little bit. And also lots of other news. And also plenty of fan questions this week. Some really good ones. Some questions about open score and stuff like that. Really good ones. Going to get into those. Let's jump straight into the news. Let's go, lads. So the big news this week is that Ben Askren has retired from MMA competition. Didn't come as a huge surprise to most people because he teased that he potentially will retire after suffering his second straight loss. But it's still big news because Ben Askren in 2019 has been, I guess, one of the bigger personalities. I don't think you can say he's been, fighter of the year or anything like that, but he's been one of the bigger personalities. He's almost had like a hand in most of the big things that has happened this year. So it's definitely worth talking about. So when you saw this, Ben Askren retires from MMA, what was your immediate thoughts?
Not a total surprise. I'm not surprised, motherfuckers, and all that. Not massively surprised. We kind of felt like he came into the UFC in the latter part of his career.
Yes.
So we knew he wasn't going to have a whole pile of time anyway. He kind of went 1-2, a bad knockout to Jorge, a loss to Damian Maia, a guy who's just a better grappler. Not a total surprise. I thought he was very honest in his interview with Ariel. I haven't seen the full interview. I've seen a lot of the quotes, which was good to see. He sort of just said, I tried to be great and I wasn't. Yeah. What can you do about it? Yeah,
like I thought he handled it pretty well and he admitted to his failure in a way.
He seems okay with himself about it.
He does. He gave it a go. Like I think that's, at the end of the day, that's what you can say. He gave it a go. Now what I do find about these kind of things, and it happens all the time, it happens when someone passes away. It happens when someone retires. You almost reject all the bad things and you just talk about the good things, which in a sense is a good thing to do. You want to celebrate the good stuff. But like, let's be honest, his career at the end of the day was a failure in the UFC. It just was, and you can't say it wasn't. Now, if you're going to say that it was impactful, yes, it was impactful, and he left his mark.
You're not going to forget him.
But you can't say, because I've seen loads of articles and stuff saying that like his career was a success in the UFC. It wasn't. No. Especially considering Ben Askren, before coming to the UFC, his whole reason for coming back was that he wanted to prove that he was the best in the world. That's his whole reason for coming back. And that he didn't prove that, so it's a failure. It just is. Again, he made a huge impact, and I think he'll be remembered by even just UFC fans, not guys like us who kind of followed him or went back and looked at his fights previously. But it must be kind of a hard thing to do after going undefeated for so long. He had that 1-0 contest, but going undefeated for so long, getting his opportunity, and then it kind of just falling apart. Like even the Robbie Lawler fight was contentious.
For me, he went 1-2 in the UFC, beat Robbie Lawler, man. Jorge, like, you're right, you do get an awful lot of revisionism with stuff like
100%,
this.
100%.
I mean, his career as a wrestler was phenomenal. Like that's not to be questioned at all.
And his MMA career as a whole was phenomenal as well.
It's 19-2 and the 1-0 contest. That ain't bad at all. I mean, Nate, what's Nate's record?
I don't know, 10 or 11 losses, probably more.
Something like that. So 19-2 is not to be sniffed at. We've seen now with the guys going over to 1, he wasn't necessarily fighting bums over there. So he'd be remembered. His career was interesting nonetheless. Even when he wasn't in the UFC, people knew who he was, were talking about him. A funny man. Yeah.
Imagine 2019 in the UFC without Ben Askren.
Yeah, he was brilliant when he came in. Even the stuff with, who was it? Was it Jorge didn't turn up to the press conference and he squared off with Dana? Like stuff like that was very funny.
Like think of like what would there have been in 2019 without Ben Askren? And I know like the way the world works, if Ben Askren wasn't there, something else would have happened. You know, the whole fucking whatever butterfly effect or whatever. But like 2019 in the UFC would be kind of boring without Ben Askren.
Anyone who makes Dana White go back on the ward and look like a shithouse is okay by me. Like he made a fool of Dana, really.
He did.
So that's okay by me. Great work, Ben.
Great work. This weird feud development between.
I know. I feel like Nate when he called out The Rock, and I'm here calling it like Dana White. fucking Tyson Fury, and I'm like, what am I getting myself in for here? Someone's going to knock on my door. Someone's going to knock on my door some night, and it's going to be Tyson Fury, Dana White, and who else do I call out on the regular?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Stand at my door.
Yeah. And you're like, Dana, I love you. You make great fights. Tyson Fury, can't wait to see you fight MMA. Go on, the lads.
Can I get a picture, please?
Yeah. But yeah, I think Ben Askren, you know, despite it being not going the way he wanted to go, I think that whole year of MMA, I enjoyed it, and I'm glad that he got there. Now, one of the other debates that goes on with the whole Ben Askren thing is the trade. Him and Demetrius Johnson trading places, like the movie, trading between one FC or one championship and the UFC. And a lot of people think because Ben Askren wasn't successful that one championship actually won this trade.
That's a bit of revisionism right there.
What's your thoughts on that? Who won the trade? Did anybody win the trade? Is it even? What's your thoughts?
Nobody has to win the trade, really. At the time, they both got something that was mutually beneficial.
I agree.
One got what they wanted, which was someone who's going to be appreciated over there in Japan, like Demetrius Johnson will be and is. And the UFC got what they wanted, Ben. They got him. I mean, this is hindsight. You can go back, you can look back now and say, oh, well, the UFC should have kept DJ. Yeah. I mean, no one was talking about the flyweight. The flyweight division was booming after DJ left, so people were talking about it. And now in the future, when, say, DJ's contract with one runs up, let's do Cejudo and DJ number 3. Yeah. Why not? Like? Yeah,
you never know.
Or sorry, not even... Sorry.
You're thinking bantamweight now.
Brain freeze.
Double champ.
Yeah, no, they both got what they wanted. You can revise everything you want now and go back and look at it. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I think like when you look back, it's perfect because Demetrius just suits one at the moment. Like his personality, like if you look at the amount of title offenses he had in the UFC, like at the end of the day, I would have loved to see both of those guys in the UFC and Demetrius to continue his dominance. Even though he lost that one fight, he probably would have went back and won it anyway. He probably would have got the title back. Yeah, I know. But when you actually do look at it as a promoter, I think Demetrius done everything he could in the UFC. It wasn't going to get that much better in terms of promotion, in terms of his opponents. You know, it's the same guys there.
I think he probably needed a guy like Cejudo.
I agree. And I think one got what they needed, and then Ben Askren. As funny as it is back in the day when people just used to call him boring, like I actually today, right, I was just looking up things and I was reading an article from when Ben Askren left or got released from Bellator, and there was some journalist, I don't know who he was, but he wrote an article saying the UFC shouldn't sign Ben Askren because he's not marketable, he's boring, he's not entertaining. And then you look at like years later down the line, he's one of the most entertaining guys, you know, arguably still a boring fighter.
And he promote himself.
Exactly. I just think it's funny going back and looking at that stuff. But yeah, I think they were both equally beneficial. But the same guys who were saying that one championship, won this deal, won this trade, have never watched a one championship fight in their life. So
100%.
Gas. Happy retirement, Ben Askren.
Take it easy, man.
Take it easy.
Stay funky.
Yeah, stay funky. Nick Diaz. So we discussed this last week, but there's some more developments, as in more people are calling for the fight that happened between Jorge Masvidal, and his return is still kind of up in the air. Has your thoughts changed from last week when we discussed Nick Diaz's potential return?
Not particularly.
No.
It's on screen there. ATT owner Dan Lambert's called for him to fight. It's a money fight for Jorge. They're obviously going to call for it.
Yeah.
I have no issues with them calling for it either. But I'm just not surprised by them calling for it. The Gracie's calling for it is interesting.
Yeah, like I don't know what the crack is with Cesar Gracie and Nick, because obviously they were a long time coach and fighter, and then there was a bit of a disagreement. I think it was around the GSP fight, and I thought they weren't talking, they weren't in communication, because Nick opened his own school. But it seems like they're, because he said that they were talking, so I don't know if they're back together. But yeah, like my thoughts haven't changed yet, because I haven't seen anything from Diaz to make my thoughts change. You know, I used to love watching him fight. It's been a long time. I don't know how he would do if he came back, especially against an absolute killer like Jorge Masvidal. So yeah, I'm the same.
We did get an interesting DM from someone on Twitter this week.
Oh yeah.
You were talking to this guy, but I did see it. So what this guy was, this listener was, he popped into a seminar, was it? And
he popped to a seminar, and he was just saying how good of a teacher Nick was, and how gracious he was with his time, giving him ideas. And even he described one moment when Nick taught a technique and somebody done it incorrectly, but he landed it in a better position and said, oh, I didn't get it, I didn't land in side control, I landed in mount. And he's like, you have that guy mounted, fuck my technique.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's better.
Yeah.
Which is like a very cool thing to do, because a lot of black belts probably wouldn't deal with it that way. You know, they might be not full of themselves.
Very open mindset.
Yeah, it's very open mindset, which is always good to see. But yeah, that's cool. I just hope Nick does what, you know, he really wants to do, and if he does decide to come back and fight, I hope what we saw in that interview where he seemed very disorientated, I hope that was just weird. I really do.
Yeah, if Nick wants to fight and he feels like he can compete at the highest level, all for it.
Yeah.
If not, don't do it, man. He doesn't need it at this point.
Yeah.
He really doesn't need it.
I hope he doesn't need it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
I hope,
that's
financially,
true,
I hope he doesn't
yeah.
need it. I hope.
I'd imagine they're all right.
I'd imagine they're
Nate's
all
going to
right.
help him out.
Yeah.
Nate's been making bank.
He has been making bank. So Dana White as well,
These fuckers on the news every week.
he is the UFC president, so he hinted that Joanna Jędrzejczyk, nailed it, will be the first challenger to Weili Zhang. Nailed it for her title. He basically done it on Instagram. He said, oh, this is going to be a great fight. Didn't confirm it was going to happen, but it's looking like all roads are to this fight. Is that the right fight to make in this division?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I like the fight. Joanna's got a win now. She went up and moved back down. Moving up wasn't great for her.
Yeah. She's arguably still one of the bigger names in the division.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. Well, not arguably,
she's
definitely.
Probably bigger than Rose, realistically. Even though Rose has 2 wins over her.
Probably.
Yeah, no, the women's division is kind of like that, whereas then people will trade wins and losses with each other, and you're very close to a title shot anyway, just because of the depth issues they have. But yeah, no issues with that. I like it.
Either way, I like it. I think it's a fun fight as well.
Yeah.
2 strikers, so that's always going to be fun. The only other people there is Rose, Tatiana Suarez, and Andrade. Of course, Andrade just lost the title. Rose seems like she's kind of a bit 1 foot out, but she did announce recently, I'm not sure if you've seen it, that she does want to fight again, so that's good. But an immediate title fight probably isn't the right way to go. Suarez is apparently injured still, so yeah. Next is Joanna, and I think it makes sense, and I just think that'd be a really fun fight.
Cool, let's get it.
Yep, I agree. Let's get it. So Ilir Latifi is moving up to heavyweight, and apparently his debut will be Derek Lewis, which for me I think that's a good fight. I think it's it's an immediate test for Latifi, but it's also not the top guys. You know,
it's a winnable fight.
It's a winnable fight, 100%. And I think if you look at Latifi and the way he fights, like I think one of the biggest kind of negatives about his style at light heavyweight was his lack of speed. Like, he was a fast guy, but not quite as fast as the other guys, and he had this weird kind of frame for light heavyweight. It's going to be a strange one at heavyweight as well, but I just think that it might serve him a little bit better at heavyweight. But then my thing is, like, he's on a 2-fight losing streak. Where is he at mentally? But to be honest, I like the idea of him going up.
Oh yeah, my first thought was against Derek Lewis. He's definitely going to have the speed advantage.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, I agree. A good solid test. Winnable fight. If he wins this, 2 wins and he's getting a title shot realistically.
Which is weird, isn't it? Like, it's the heavier you go, the easier your route is to a title fight, and that's true at heavyweight as well.
Yeah, I like the fight. That's going to be a filler on a pay-per-view card. Or it's going to headline a fight night.
Yeah, probably.
So
I like it. I think it's fine.
No issues with it.
You know, we'll see what happens. Another heavyweight potential. Anthony Johnson is targeting a return to the UFC. He says he wants to come back and hurt people. John, how's that make you feel?
Oh, has no context. Town would say my balls are tingling.
My balls are hot.
Yeah, I like that.
Sound like Stone Cold Steve Austin there. I don't know why.
Anthony Johnson at heavyweight is a scary thought. That dude is looking chunky.
He said that he got to 280, and he said that's the worst he's ever been because it wasn't all muscle. Unfortunately, I thought he was just fucking pure muscle. Apparently, it wasn't. But he's now at 240, and he says that he could probably take a fight right now. He's like at a good kind of level.
Man, him at heavyweight is a scary thought, isn't it?
Yeah, like he fought for not PFL, whatever PFL used to be called. Fucking can't even remember now.
World Series.
He fought heavyweight there, and he looked good. You know, he fought heavyweight and he looked good there. So
I'm all for it.
I'm interested. The only thing with him is like he always seems to pop up in these domestic abuse fucking news articles and shit, and I don't know how to feel about that. Hopefully it's not true.
He's also still to re-enter the USADA testing pool.
That's true, yeah. I wonder
if anyone want to get the tinfoil hat out there. So, you know,
he's waiting for something to leave his system before he gets in. Maybe
he's coming down.
Yeah, we'll see. But
allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah, we're not saying anything.
Yeah.
This one's serious. Did you see this news
I
about?
actually didn't.
So a Titan FC fighter. I need to get his name there. I apologise, but I'll grab it there. I think it's on the screen. So he suffered a stroke after a weight cut. I think it was after a fight as well. So apparently he cut about 13 pounds, a little bit more.
13.
Yeah, which is like, I've seen fighters do that.
Not a lot.
Yeah, like it's not.
I say it's not a lot.
I mean, it's a lot, but it's not out of the ordinary. You know, it's not unusual to see a guy, and he was left with one side of his body paralysed.
Yeah, Jesus, man. Thoughts go out to him and his family, obviously. The only thing about the 13 pounds is it's not a lot in comparison to what fighters regularly do. But at bantamweight, 13 pounds is a lot because there's not a lot on those guys.
Yeah.
They don't bulk up massively. There's not a lot of fat there, so you see them. The last couple of pounds are horrible for them to get off because there's just not a lick on them to actually cut. Like so. Yeah, the smaller you go, the harder the weight cuts out because there's just less on them.
Less.
So.
Yeah, it's true. His name is Rudson Calacane. Is his name? Former bantamweight champ at Titan FC. Yeah, very scary. Like I think,
Very.
I think we speak about this quite a lot with weight cutting. Like I think the UFC and a lot of promotions and all these, they're looking at the wrong problem. I don't think drug testing is the most pressing of issues. I think trying to fix this weight cut problem is the most pressing because you shouldn't be putting yourself into your worst state 24 hours before you go in there and cage fight with another man or another woman. I think that's absolutely insane. And it's only going to take somebody to really, really get hurt in the UFC. Like it happens quite a lot. Well, not quite a lot, but it happens, regularly enough outside the UFC, too often. And I think, once that happens in the UFC, they're going to really start, trying to make changes. But I think they should really try and make changes now. Like I know weight cutting's always been a thing and it probably always will be. But man, this is scary.
Yeah, the problem is, like we've seen the likes of Cowboy and stuff, even Jorge, move up to 170 just because they don't really cut weight. And that's brilliant. The problem is not every fighter does it.
Yeah.
So as long as every fighter is cutting weight, there's no incentive to not cut weight.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if it was enforced that if they took your walking around weight, which is hard to gauge anyway, because you can anyway.
Yeah.
But say your walking around weight is 174 pounds. You're fighting at 165.
Yeah.
If that was the case, if you could say to people, if you were enforcing people to fight at a weight, then you can eradicate weight cutting, extreme weight cutting anyway, because there's always going to be people will always want to get an advantage, and that's why they cut weight. People will cut, how much does Darren Till cut, how much does Yoel Romero cut, like,
I know,
to just gain a little bit of an advantage. So as long as people are willing to gain an advantage, it's going to be an issue.
Exactly, and it's almost similar to the whole drug testing thing or the whole drug thing. People are trying to get an advantage, and they'll always try. It's very difficult to curtail that, but I do think the UFC need to try, and commissions and stuff, and California are really looking to do it, and I'm not sure how that's going to work out because I'm not sure how many fights are going to happen there now.
The things that often make these guys like great winners and like the will to win often make them like more likely to do extreme things and cheat and other stuff like extreme weight cutting and stuff. So yeah.
TJ Dillashaw tried to do it all in one.
Yeah,
drugs and an extreme weight cut, and got caught. Looked terrible at that weight cut as well. So that's all the kind of main news I wanted to talk about, but there's some other little bits and pieces. I'm not sure if you have any, Sean, if you want to find some, but I saw that Marlon Moraes is moving from Mark Henry, Ricardo Almeida, BJJ. He's moving over to ATT.
Interesting.
In Florida, which of course is one of the better gyms, and I think that's a cool move. He said the reason isn't necessarily because he's fallen out with those guys, it's more so that for family reasons they want to move to Florida. There's a lot of Brazilians and stuff there, friends, and so fair enough. But that could be a good move for him.
ATT is a factory at the minute, man.
ATT is unbelievable.
You can go there and get whatever you want, sparring, coaching, everything. So and the facility looks phenomenal.
It does,
So that's
that gym of the year.
Probably was,
this year, look at that's gotta be, doesn't it?
It looks sick. So that's a cool move. Looking forward to seeing what that breeds for the future for Moraes.
I want to try get this a little bit up, but my link isn't working. So this was on MMApayout.com. This is something that will interest you, Sean, because I know you're into this kind of stuff. So apparently ad buyers, right, are extremely frustrated at the lack of data coming from streaming services, so from ESPN Plus and DAZN, because essentially what happens is when these companies want to put ads on these fights, they're told the subscriber number of the service, but they're not told how many people are actually watching any particular event, any particular stream. So they're finding it very difficult to actually get some data from that and actually, be confident what they're paying for.
What are we getting for our money here?
Exactly, because let's look at last week's event, which wasn't very good, and I don't think a lot of people would have watched it. That was on ESPN Plus. I don't think even 50% of ESPN Plus's subscriber base were watching that. I don't even think 20% were probably watching. I'd say it was probably under 10%, probably even less, were watching that fight card.
I agree. Most people here will probably know who MTK are. They're a boxing management company. All of their boxing shows are on ESPN Plus. Grand. And they'll promote it as in we're on the biggest network in the USA. Grand. You technically have the reach of all of ESPN. It's on ESPN Plus. Like, how many people in America are watching fights at UK times on ESPN Plus at that level of boxing? And people always people will spit out the numbers that like look the best or the reach and stuff. But it's if I was advertising on that now, I'd be
it's not
looking
real.
for certain conditions.
It's almost like
it's bullshit.
It's like YouTube, right? And you're saying, okay, we have this many people who watch daily, and you're paying for your ad at the same price to be on every single YouTube video. When some YouTube video gets 100 views, some video gets fucking 12 million views a day. Do you know what I mean? It's very weird, and I'm not sure what they're going to do with it. I assume that eventually they'll just have to release the actual specific information. You
would assume that these advertising companies will put pressure on the companies to actually, what are we paying for here? They
were talking about then, once they bring out the numbers of a specific event, then they will put premiums on those events.
That's fine though.
Which makes sense.
That's just a business model. And I mean, it's not like you have to put these numbers out to the public or anything. I mean,
that'll get out once they get.
This is the problem as well, because DAZN are such a new company that don't really want their subscriber numbers kind of broadly known. People they don't want their viewership numbers or stuff like this getting.
Because then that affects like.
They don't want the retention rate of people who signed up for the 1 month to watch KSI and Logan Paul. They don't want that, and who's dropping off.
They don't want anything to come out essentially, which is probably why they're hesitant to do this. But I thought that was an interesting story. We'll see where that one goes.
That's interesting.
Darren Till reveals that he was blind drunk when he called out Yoel Romero. Are you surprised?
Hilarious.
Did you see that?
No, because he posted it, called out Yoel, and the next morning he was like, what did he say?
That meme. I like that.
He said, when you realise you call out Yoel, and then a couple of days later when Yoel replied to him, Darren tweeted a gif of a gorilla walking and then turning around when he realised Yoel replied. So funny. Brutally honest as well.
Oh, brutally honest.
Like, why the fuck would I fight Yoel Romero?
Yeah. I love that. That was very fucking funny. 1 second, I have some more news here. Did you see Luke Rockhold? He said that he is pretty happy not fighting at the moment.
Cool. He probably seems like a guy who's not going to officially retire, might dip his foot back in if something interests him. All for it. Luke, you go modelling. You don't need to fight. Like, you're
100%.
taking some fucking trauma. Go model. Go in and big bucks with Ralph Lauren and stuff.
Ralph Lauren, yeah.
My guy.
My guy. Go up there. If you believe, you can achieve.
Here's Barack Obama.
Did you never see that video?
No.
Oh, bro. Try to get that right.
Bro.
Right in Luke Rockhold, Michael Bisping, achieve, believe, conceive, something like that. You'll find it. Here's some news that will affect you, Sean, personally, because I know you're going to go to this. James Gallagher and Cal Eleanor is to headline Bellator's Europe 7 in Dublin on the 22nd of Feb. Left there, I think.
This one?
I'd say so.
I'm not going to be able to hear this, Rob.
Yeah, I'll give you my earphones so you can hear it. If it plays, of course. If not, it's all good. I'll show it to you after. But yeah, did you see that Gallagher headline in UFC Dublin?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I like the fight.
Yeah.
I've said to you before as well, there's an English friend of mine who quite fancies Eleanor on that one.
Yeah. This is who James was supposed to fight originally, right?
Yeah, it's a good fight.
Yeah,
I like
it.
Probably will go. I'll go on the pints again. Yup.
It's all about the points.
Yeah. Even for a good time, man. Yeah, I'm going to get it up on screen now.
Cool, you get it on screen. So Bellator Dublin, 22nd of Feb. Should be interesting. I might pop into this one. I didn't go to the last one, but
so which one are we looking
I was
at?
a little bit jealous. Go left. Yeah, go that one. Yeah, I'd imagine it's that. if y'all haven't seen this, I'm sure you have. You know, you're not a noob. Not a noob like Sean. Can you hear that?
Not a bandwagoner.
That's how you put yourself out that you believe it.
Is he talking about believing and achieving?
And that's what I do. I know what I'm going to do. I know that I'm better than this.
Sounds like
I
the
know
worst
that I'm going to knock
self-help
him
book you've
out.
ever read. Conceive, believe,
What's he talking
achieve.
about?
Shut the f*** up.
Bisping
Also
just told him
man
to
enough
shut
go
the
after
fuck
the
up.
guy.
Is
Sounds
that
like
the
a
belief?
self-help book, yeah.
On 2 weeks'
That's it,
notice.
that's it.
Jesus
Okay, so that's
Christ,
something
Luke.
about
Come
the
on,
size
you're
of
better
my
than that, man.
balls.
If you believe,
You can achieve.
you can achieve.
Oh, that is desperate, man.
Sounds like the worst self-help book. Yeah, love it.
Shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up.
Brilliant.
Fan questions. Listener questions or viewer questions, whatever you want to say.
Let's go. We've had some,
we'll go
we've had some crackers.
We've had some. There's some good ones here, man. There's some good
Yeah,
ones here.
Let's go.
Salvastola is looking for Brendan Dorman on the show.
Sal.
We're gonna try and make it happen. I've messaged Brendan.
Yeah,
We're
we've
gonna
had a
try
lot
and
of
make it
requests for Brendan
happen.
as well. We miss him.
100%. We'll get him.
Me and Brendan are going to do a breakdown of the best local women in MMA.
Yes, that's what we're gonna do.
So the people want.
Yeah. Carl Johnson or John Johnson said, do you two feel like you're able to judge a fighter's skill accurately when they're fighting lesser opponents? So he says, like, someone like MVP who can look extremely good in fights against guys who aren't great, can you like assess how good they are when they're fighting like lesser opponents, or do you find it difficult?
Did he give the example of MVP though?
Yeah.
MVP is an interesting one because he's been around so long. You kind of know where he's at, so you will take into account the level of opposition. Like right now, say.
That's very true.
Yeah, a guy early in the career, you can only like try and think of someone now who's looked really good. Like say some 6-0 undefeated guy who's sparked everyone in his 6 fights. You have to look at the level of opposition. I mean, you can
100%,
say
yeah.
he's looked phenomenal in his 6 fights. He's knocked out them all. But look at the level. There's not really a lot to take. You can say he looks good here, here, and here. But
Yeah,
this guy,
I think what you need to do is, like, if the guy is of really poor, like if it's a really poor opposition, it's difficult, especially if that guy is making a lot of mistakes. But like, say if the guy is just competent, he's okay.
if he can go rounds,
If he can go rounds and you can see that the guy who you're tracking, who you're trying to look at, is doing very good things, like he's using the jab well, like his basics are good.
fundamentals.
His hands are coming back to his face, you know, all the kind of stuff. And then on the floor, if he's passing well, if you can see he's doing good things, then yeah, I think you can rate them. But I think it's very difficult when it's poor opposition to say how far they're going to go. One thing he mentioned was like Gregor Gillespie, like his big step up in competition. I think that's a little bit different because Gillespie against Lee was a step up in competition, sure, but the guys he fought before that weren't bad. They were quite good actually, so I think that's quite a different one. But yeah,
it's an
MVP
interesting
in
one.
his career wasn't.
You have to look at both. You have to say, okay, this guy's look really good. His fundamentals look solid, but the level of opposition, yeah, it's very dependent on the fight and the scenario.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a catch-all answer for that one.
Yeah. Joey Cruz asked, if for some reason you could only watch one of these 2 fights, which one would it be? Habib versus Tony or Jones versus Adesanya?
Oh, Habib and Tony.
I agree.
Yeah, all day,
easy,
man.
Easy. Yeah.
Maybe in 2 years I could be saying.
Yeah.
Maybe in 2 years after both have happened, whatever. But yeah, right now, Khabib and Tony, hook it to my veins.
Yeah. Look, I don't know why, but I don't have a huge amount of interest in Jones. I know you do.
I have a bit of interest in that one.
I don't. Just not right now. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, I know
okay.
what you're saying. Like in a few years, maybe, but yeah, in the future, maybe.
Khabib and Tony all day and
Yeah.
twice on Sundays.
Yeah, that fight needs to happen. Here's a tough one. I can't think of a name right now, but Stevie P asked, if you were starting an organisation, what would you name it? Sick of the 3 letters being and one being F, but also Bellator ain't great. So yeah, think of an organisation. What would you call it?
What would I call it?
Tough one.
World Series of Fighting was a decent one, you know.
Yeah, well, that wasn't bad. Yeah, kind of sounds professional. Like I think like there's so many organisations out there.
You
as
kind of have
well.
to go acronym.
I agree. I think you do, but also like there's so many tacky MMA names out there. You know, like Face Crusher MMA or something like that. I don't know. I think it's very difficult.
Cage Rage.
Put me on the spot. We'll have to.
Yeah, I don't know.
Have to shelve that one. Come back to it. Think about it.
No
few good fights.
plumbers allowed.
No plumbers allowed. Yeah. What's the acronym for that?
NPA.
Bit of a ring to it.
Yeah.
Bit of a ring to it. Tale of the Tape said, with 2 losses in a row, one which included a failed weight cut, why are fans so quick to justify Yoel Romero getting a title shot over Jerry Cannonier when earlier they heavily criticised the UFC for giving Frankie Edgar a title shot over Alexander Volkanovski, a fight in which Max Holloway specifically asked for? So Why are fans, in your opinion, or do you agree that fans are just overlooking it and saying, yeah, let's do Yoel Romero, let's go for it?
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
It totally is very much down to how Yoel looks.
As in, he's yoked.
Aesthetically, like.
He's
how he-
old.
Yeah. As in, if Yoel looked like Daniel Cormier,
Yeah.
coming off 2 losses and a failed weight cut,
Mm.
are you telling me that we're calling for... that we're okay with that fight as we are now? I'm not so sure,
I'm not
to
so
be
sure.
honest. I very much think it's a lot to do with the aesthetics of Yoel, and we know what he can do. We know how powerful he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think there's a bit to that. I don't think you're wrong in that. I think,
What do you think?
people look at, I would hope that it's kind of the discussion that we had last week when we looked at the rankings and we looked at guys who were there and we're like, there's actually not that many people there. I hope there's
Yeah.
a bit of that.
I'm not so
but
sure.
I'm not so sure. I think
Yeah.
it's more of the, oh my God, that guy is
Yeah,
huge.
look at that fucking
Yeah.
Jesus looking
Yeah.
guy there.
And then, wasn't Chuck Mindenhall? He was talking about, not Yoel, he was talking about Costa. But it's a similar thing where you
Yeah.
look at Adesanya, he's not really the most, he's not a huge guy. He's a skinny
Doesn't
kind
look
of guy.
like 185 or really.
No, he doesn't. And then you look at Yoel or you look at Costa and you're like, Jesus, that's a huge contrast.
That's a Zeus looking fucker right
Yes,
there.
but yeah, I think you're probably right, Sean. I hope it's the other one, but I think you're right. Timothy Gallagher said, would Askren have been better off fighting in a Legends League fights? Guys close to retirement and the like. He would have had incredible fights with... he had incredible fights with Maya and Lawler, but he clearly couldn't hang in the top ranks. Still, he's talented and it's a shame to see him go out like that. Would you have done better fighting in a Legends League? I think you could say everyone would do better fighting in a Legends League, like fighting guys out of their peak, 100%.
But if you're only putting guys out of their peak, I mean, a fighter ain't going to be too happy with saying, you're over there now because you can't play with the big boys anymore.
You're on the kids' table.
I think saying he had incredible fights with Maya and Lawler's probably...
Well, the
Lawler fight was good.
Yeah. I enjoyed the Maya fight, but yeah.
Incredible is probably a bit of an overstatement in my opinion.
Well, I'd say Lawler. Incredible
Yeah.
fight. Yeah, that was insane.
Would you done better? Probably, yeah.
Well, I think that goes for everybody. Like, if you're fighting guys out of their peak, which, I mean, you can argue that Lawler and Maya were both, like, if you're going to say Legends League, they can technically fall in there, maybe. But yeah, I think you can say everybody would fight better in a Legends League.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah,
I don't like the idea of a Legends League in general, though.
Either do I. Jesse Mago said, there's a meet and greet that I'm really looking forward to with Wonderboy, Tyron Woodley and Ben Askren in Cork City in February next year. I didn't know about this. I wonder, is Ben still going to be there considering he's retired? I'd imagine so. Like, if he signed on, unless it's like a UFC meet and greet specifically, maybe not.
That
But
doesn't sound like a UFC one. I mean, Ben and Tyron do a lot of stuff together.
yeah, but Wonderboy.
Yeah, I don't know. That'd be cool to go.
That'd be cool. Yeah, it would be cool to go to. Yeah, maybe
Wonder
we
where
could
that's
go
on.
interview them or something.
Yeah, that'd be deadly.
Cork City. apparently.
Let us know actually where that's on. I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
Send us a link to it or something.
Yeah,
please.
I haven't heard of that.
And thank you.
Bull Roar MMA podcast. Go check it out. I've never seen it, but go check it out. Would open scoring fix the judging problem, or does the system need a complete overhaul? Are either even likely, or will this be discussed 10 years from now?
What do you mean open scoring?
Open scoring. So,
As in pride.
No, so open scoring is essentially the end of the round. The judges submit their score, and then it's shown on a screen, and we
so
know
like
what it
amateur
is.
Boxing.
Similar, yeah. Like Olympic, isn't it?
Yeah,
The Olympic boxing. To be honest, I think
I don't think that.
I don't like that idea for a couple of reasons. Reason one, I think if you go to let's attack our own. Go to Ireland, right? And you have an Irish fighter fighting, and you have a lot of pressure on them judges to score rounds to Irish fighters. And I don't think a judge really wants to put their name on a thing that's going to show up on the screen and all the fans around them are going to see it, especially if it's a close round. I think that's going to influence judges. I also think that, there could be a safety issue there in some, some crowds. And also I think it would negatively, maybe positively sometimes affect the fight. Like if you're a fighter and you know what the scoring is, I understand it's kind of good because then you can change your game plan, but also in a bad way it could, a guy could maybe be winning 2 rounds up and then he just goes complete defensive and tries to, hold the person down. So yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that's necessarily a fix because I think more transparent reasons for scoring.
Yeah,
better
judges.
Better judges and clearer definition of why we're scoring that a certain way or why this should be scored a certain way.
Yeah, I think better judges. I think like open scoring is an interesting idea. I just don't think it's the right one.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Moving on to Facebook, Farrell Connolly. With Bellator announced today, who do you see getting the co-main event slot? Presuming Gallagher will more than likely be the headliner. So Bellator in Dublin, who do you think is going to get the co-headliner spot? With Gallagher headlining?
Interesting.
Who done well?
Actually, do you know who's going to get it? Peter Queeley's going to get it.
Probably, yeah. It's gonna,
Queeley will be in a big fight though.
Yeah, because he got that win, so yeah.
Got that comeback win.
Yeah, maybe they do the rematch. Probably, I can't think of anybody else. I'd like, if Gallagher is main eventing, which it looks like he is. I'm pretty sure he announced it was a main event.
Yeah.
I would like to see them bring over some, like with
MVP
Benson
was
Henderson.
cool and Benson was cool.
I would like to see that, but yeah, you never know. Rob Bourne, who do you think, do you think if Ben Askren would have had much more of success if he'd come to the UFC straight after Bellator, or is it a skill set too restricted?
Yeah, I think he probably would have.
I think he probably would have, but then, like,
that's if some buts.
Lots of ifs and buts. Lots of different opponents back then.
That's just an opinion, really.
Yeah, I think he would have because he's younger, but also his striking and the problems that he has have been there pretty much since he left Bellator anyway, and I'm not sure if he would have changed. Now, I think Luke Thomas said, well, maybe if he went to the UFC, was exposed to a certain style that he didn't see, and then that would have forced a change, and maybe he would have developed. Maybe. But I think that the problems he's had have been there for a long time.
Yeah, I agree. It's an interesting one, though.
Yeah. We'll end on a funny one. Jack Pike, when you find a curly hair in the shower tray, can you tell which part of the body it's come from?
What sort of people listen to this show, man? How are we attracting these guys? Get your fucking shit together, will you?
Well, I don't have my hair in my
Where
head
are you going with this, Rob?
is quite straight. I have very curly hair, so take that for.
I'm not even going to
you
say
will.
what's in my head right now because it's like taken down off YouTube.
Tell me after this. We'll talk. But that's it. Have you seen anything else? Any more
No,
news?
that's all from me.
Cool. Well, let's move on to educating young Sean. All right, Sean. So last week I gave you a fight. It was Shogun versus Little Nog. Little
yes.
Nogueira, the twin brother of Big Nogueira, if you didn't know. And it involved Shogun, and of course Shogun had a fight on the weekend as well that we didn't really talk about. So I think you got a better one here. So I think you enjoyed a better one in this fight. So what was your thoughts on Shogun versus Little Nog?
Really entertaining. Little Nog, you can see they're very alike, but yeah, you were right last week that Little Nog is a bit slimmer, a bit leaner. Yeah. It's a mad fight. Pride always gets me. There's some weird stuff in it. Even when the picture we have on screen here in the scene, just like the flying jumps and stuff, and he'd jump up and not even try and land a punch, he'd try and land a kick or something. Mental. They landed some heavy shots in this fight as well. Really entertaining.
Yeah, I went back and watched this one. I don't do it every week, but I wanted to watch this one because I couldn't really remember a whole lot of it. But it does kind of outline like how much damage these guys have took over their careers, because Shogun's still competing, and you can see that wear and tear on his body now that he competes, and it's not nice. But going back and watching these fights, it's insane. Like what a performance by both guys, to be fair.
Yeah, brilliant fight. The decision was probably fair. It was a close fight all the same, but yeah, really entertaining. Pride is gas to me, to be honest. It's absolutely hilarious. Yeah,
it's very different. You never watched Pride before this, or did you see any Pride fights?
I'd seen some clips and stuff, but I knew it was in a ring, but yeah, that was about it.
Yeah, because I remember the first Pride fight we gave you. I'm pretty sure you were like, what the fuck was up with the 10-minute round?
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, it's insane. Soccer kicks and all that jazz.
Actually, one thought I did have with the 10-minute rounds, were they scored more heavily? Like, if you had a big first round, say, in the 10-minute round, did you get more points? Not more points, or was that scored more favourably than having a good 5-minute round?
They didn't score based on rounds. They scored the fight. So it wasn't round by round scoring.
So it was a bit like amateur boxing, where you got a point, say, for every...
Kind of, yes. Essentially, by the end of the fight, they just say who won the fight.
Yeah, I
not
noticed
who won
that.
The round.
I noticed that.
There's no rounds scoring. It's just fight scoring.
Interesting.
So you could argue if you had a better later portion of the fight, you probably would have won. You could argue that. But it was basically based on damage.
Yeah.
If you done more damage, you win.
To be a bit cynical here, Rob, I put my tinfoil hat on. Dodgy as fuck that. Not calling out scores or anything.
Yeah.
This guy wins. Why? Because we said so.
We said so. Yeah. Although, judging is dodgy anyway, as it is.
It is.
Here's another pride guy, but it's actually in the UFC. This is your next
Is this
fight.
the one where you looked up the top 50 most entertaining fights of all time?
Yes, I sure did. Yeah. It's
Great stuff,
getting
Rob.
difficult.
Yeah.
Give us some suggestions in the comments, please. Some fights that we can give to Sean. It's Mirko Krokop versus Gabriel Gonzaga.
Nice.
Very important fight in the history of MMA.
Cool.
It's in the UFC. It's UFC 70.
Cool.
Check that next week.
Thank you, so.
Do you have some news?
I do. A little bit.
Sweet, a little bit.
So, first up this week, Rob, a little interesting fact. Anderson Silva, widely considered as the GOAT.
By many people.
Yeah.
By many people.
Just an interesting one here, really. Like, when you consider the latter part of his career has been, there've been a lot of issues there with injuries, USADA, and some other stuff. So
up to theirs. Anderson Silva is back in the UFC rankings. Lost 6 of his last 7, flagged by USADA in that period, and just suffered his second leg break. He's back in the rankings. What's with the UFC rankings? That's weird, isn't it?
It's kind of an indictment on the rankings and just kind of
yeah.
shows you where Silva is at the minute. It's just
just like
who did he beat in that period? I was trying to think of this. Who did he get a win over? Lost to Bisping. Lost to Cannonier. Did he beat Cannonier?
He got it. Derek Brunson or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like a close decision. Yeah, should probably hang it up.
Next up, Rolling Thunder.
Saw this?
Yeah, we all saw this one.
Yeah. If you didn't see it,
you're about to.
You're about it.
This is the best angle of it, I think. Chicken dance, man.
Yeah. And it's mad, isn't it? Because, he does the chicken dance, but he's also knocked out cold,
His body proper goes to mush.
Yeah.
It's not like he goes he stiff bolts it.
Insane. Rolling Thunder.
You barely see them attempt it even.
No. Yeah.
So, mad one.
Like Johnny Walker style or something, he would do it.
Unbelievable knockout, but...
By the way, fucking Walter White is the referee. Look at him.
It's Dan Overheady, man.
Is it?
It's Dan, yeah. Dan was at the
fucking
card.
hell. Dan.
I'm pretty sure it's Dan. Dan was refereeing at that card anyway.
That is Dan.
It is, isn't it?
Jeez, Dan, you look well. He lost a lot of weight.
Yeah,
I think.
he's looking well.
Hasn't he?
Quick ears, hasn't he?
Yeah, get in there.
Yeah.
No wonder he sent that to me. He was like, he wasn't even.
Did he?
He wasn't even
yeah.
look at Roland Hunter. He was like, look at me.
Yeah. Great work.
Classic ref T-shirt as well. Love it.
Next up, did you see this? So, this was interesting, man.
Hey, so 19-year-old Maxim Chakchuk fought on Bellator's Israel event this week and has a white supremacist black sun tattoo on his elbow. Wow. Jeez. That's not great, is it?
It's bad, isn't it?
That's not great. I know nothing about that white supremacist symbol. Like, I know, obviously, the Nazi, the swastika
We
and
both
stuff.
know it ain't good.
But apparently that's not good. Yeah.
I did see, you would imagine that the UFC these organisations do some sort of background checks on these guys. And I know that things can slip through the cracks. It's a pretty big thing to slip through the cracks.
Yeah.
It's not like one of these, I don't want to belittle any other stuff that guys have done.
Yeah.
Or to make light of it, but white supremacy, it ain't great.
Not great. Not a great look for Bellator.
Yeah. I hope that gets sorted. So as I said, what the level of oversight for things like this.
19-year-old kid as well.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I have one more thing, Rob. It's not a picture, and I want to put it to you.
Alright.
You actually spoke to myself, you and Noel actually spoke about it earlier in the week.
Okay.
Fame MMA.
Oh shit, yeah.
Talk to me.
What am I talking to you about?
What's your thoughts on it? How do you feel about
in general?
it? Yeah. How do you feel about it?
I don't even know what it is. Is it like
it's basically famous people fighting MMA.
That's what it is.
Famous
people.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here.
Yeah.
Famous people. Well, they have some.
I assume it's white collar as well.
I don't
As in
know.
it's not pro license.
I don't know.
I assume they have full.
Like I've seen the presser. The presser with the two Geordie Shore lads, was it?
Yeah, there's a YouTuber that I actually watch a bit of Nightscape. He's in it as well. That's how I actually
What's he
came
do?
across it. YouTube.
Yeah, what's
he
he do?
does what do you call it? Parkour stuff and free run.
right,
Is it
right,
free running they call it?
Yeah, parkour,
Yeah, all
free
that
run.
sort of stuff and photography and cool
Right.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's actually a pretty good YouTuber, but
Yeah.
he's doing this as well. Yeah,
But like, he wasn't one of the dicks that was thrown shit either. No.
not a clue.
Yeah, well, it was the Geordie Shore lads. Like, it seems like a fucking to me it seems like an absolute farce. Like, like I'm not interested in it. People will watch it. Like we've seen with the whole Logan Paul KSI thing. People will watch famous people fight. Like they will. It's always going to be a thing. And you know,
I think that's a bit different as well.
Yeah. But white collar celebrity boxing has always been a thing, and it always will be a thing. So I get it in that way. The thing about this promotion is that like they're priding themselves on being freak shows, because I showed you I don't know if you've seen the picture, but I showed, and they build the fight as a super freak show fight. Yeah. So like in one way I'm like, at least they're like leaning into it, and they're not trying to hide and pretend they're not what they are.
It is just a money grab.
But it is just a money grab. And like, to be honest, if celebrities want to fight, go ahead and do it. And even with like Aaron Chalmers, who was obviously in Geordie Shore, like I was, not that I was all for him fighting, but like when he done it, like he was very respectful. He fought, and even like the guys that he fought, he mightn't have been the best fighters, but he's also not the best fighter in the world, so it was
feel
fine.
Like he's gone about it the right way. He's actually trying to build a career. He didn't come in, take a bin man in his first fight,
exactly,
and then try and call out a title holder or anything.
Exactly.
He's actually he genuinely sees like he's trying to build a career and build himself up and improve and just better himself. Yeah,
so, and even with the KSI Logan Paul thing, fair enough, whatever.
They made a lot of money. They actually dedicated themselves to training and fighting for a couple of months. Yeah. It was pro, so anyone who's getting in there in the pro game has to be respected as well. So.
And at the end of the day as well, like who are we or who is anybody to say you shouldn't watch this? Yeah. And it's not hurting us. It's not hurting our sport. Nobody's going to watch that thing. Well, no one with a brain is going to watch that thing and say, look, MMA is a bunch of savages because they're throwing shit each other at press conferences. And that has happened anyway. But don't really care about it. But
shit show.
It's a shit show.
Yeah.
Shit show. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all this week, man.
Great stuff. That was a fun show. I enjoyed that. Short enough show, but plenty of stuff to talk about. Leave all your comments below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and watch all our stuff. And Sean, I'll see you next week. Is it a different day next week?
We're going to record on a different day because I am otherwise occupied on next week.
What are you doing?
We normally record. I may or may not be going on the pints.
On the pints?
Yeah.
Cool.
Sky Sports sources say Sean could be on the pints.
Yeah, cool. So this might come out a day early. We'll see. We'll organise it, but keep an eye out. We'll announce it. Anyway, that's it.